period. Like, are you kidding me? Larry Bird in this era? Are you kidding me?
If Larry Bird was playing today, he would still be the MVP of the league.
Larry Bird was never just some old school legend people bring up for nostalgia. He was the standard, the measuring stick, the kind of player who didn't just play the game, he controlled it. If he stepped onto an NBA court in 2026, he wouldn't be trying to adjust to the league would be adjusting to him. Bird's mind was different. The way he read the floor, the way he predicted movement before it even happened, that wasn't normal. That was years ahead of his time. In today's game, where spacing and shooting rule everything, he would feast. A 6'9" forward who could stretch the floor, pass like a guard, rebound in traffic, and talk to you the entire time, that's a nightmare matchup every single night. Modern teams beg for shooting range and high IQ decision-making. Bird had both in elite form. He would walk into today's NBA and instantly become the hub of an offense, put shooters around him and let him orchestrate. He would turn isolation-heavy systems into beautiful ball movement, slicing defenses apart possession by possession. It would look effortless, but it would be surgical.
I think it was Dennis Rodman who recently said that if Larry Bird played today, he'll have to play over in the European League.
If Larry Bird was playing today, he would still be the MVP of the league, and his team would still be winning championships. Now, why do I say that? Because we just watched the Joker, who is very similar to Larry Bird, take his Denver Nuggets team and win the championship. So if I look at these two players and if I'm saying they're similar, then Bird would probably win 2 or 3 championships in this era.
In this era right now.
Yeah.
Period. Like, are you kidding me? Larry Bird in this era? Are you kidding me?
That's what be boiling my blood.
It'd been more though.
For who?
For Larry.
How?
And it starts.
What you mean?
How?
Just the physical
He's
capability.
6'10", dude.
That's a lot of 6'10".
Okay.
Nah, it's a lot of that. That's all I'm saying. He birthed that. Don't get me wrong, he birthed it. I'm just saying we hadn't seen it there.
Who's going to be matched up against Larry Bird? Karl Anthony Towns.
That's a nightmare, man.
Karl Anthony.
And while today's stars lean on speed and vertical explosion, Bird never needed to jump out of the gym. He beat you with angles. He beat you with positioning. He beat you before you even realized what was happening. He would post you up, face you up, drag you into spots you didn't want to be, and then bury the shot right in your face. No wasted motion, no panic, just execution. But the real edge? It was psychological. Bird didn't just want to win, he wanted to break your confidence. He would tell you exactly what he was about to do, then go out and do it anyway. That kind of mental warfare still works in any era. Pressure doesn't scare players like that. It feeds them. Every cut, every screen, every pass had purpose. He treated basketball like chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Mismatch? He finds it. Tempo too fast? He slows it down. Defense cheating? He punishes it. He would dissect today's switching schemes and force defenses into impossible decisions over and over again. And it's not just fans saying this. Players who battled him know. When Isaiah Thomas was asked how Bird would fare today, he didn't hesitate. He said Bird would still be an MVP caliber player. That's coming from someone who went to war with him in the playoffs. Larry Bird wasn't a product of the 80s. He was built for dominance in any era. Drop him into today's NBA, and you wouldn't be asking if he could keep up. You'd be asking how anyone is supposed to stop him. Isaiah Thomas made it clear Larry Bird's greatness had nothing to do with the 80s. It had everything to do with skill, intelligence, and pure competitive fire. According to Isaiah Thomas, Bird wasn't surviving because of the era, he was dominating because of who he was. He could read the game like a genius, adjust on the fly, and attack whatever weakness you showed him. Today's NBA is built on spacing, three-point shooting, and pace. Bird already mastered that blueprint before it even had a name. Thomas didn't just praise him casually, he doubled down. He even compared Nikola Jokic to Bird, saying Jokic mirrors that same style of dominance, that same calm control over the game. That's not a small comparison. Jokic runs offenses with patience, vision, and touch. Bird did that decades earlier, and Thomas was confident about one thing. Bird would still win championships today. Leadership, clutch shot making, elevating teammates, that translates in any generation.
Larry Bird, well, not really, he's older, but you grew up kind of knowing the legend of Larry Legend and love for the game, and love for practice and love for shooting. I think that we're similar in those areas, but he allowed players like myself to kind of dream big and think big at that position and to do things that traditional small forwards, I guess, or big men weren't doing, and he's one of the first guys you've seen.
I remember it was after practice, right? And we were shooting around and he's walking out. I've never to this point, I've never seen him play. So we're shooting and he's like walking out of the gym about to leave, but the ball rolls over to him. And I'm sure he probably haven't shot the ball in like fucking, I don't know, years at this point. So he picks the ball up, bro, shoots that motherfucker cash from 3 too, like, and he's in slacks, he's in a button down. Hey. Oh, bro, he cashed that shit and then just smooth walked out, bro.
Then you have Baron Davis, who looked at it from a different angle. He said Bird wouldn't just fit in, he would physically overwhelm people. At 6 feet 9 inches with strength and balance, Bird wouldn't be bullied by modern defenders. He would be the one delivering the punishment. In a league obsessed with switching and smaller lineups, that's dangerous. Put a guard on him, he backs them down. Put a wing on him, he leans into that strength and shoots over the top. Put a big on him, he drags them out to the perimeter and makes them uncomfortable. Baron broke it down simply, who is actually stopping him? And it's a fair question. Bird knew how to seal defenders, create space without relying on explosive speed, and absorb contact all game long. That kind of body control over 4 quarters is rare today. Modern defenders aren't built to wrestle in the post-possession after possession. Bird would wear them down mentally and physically. And then there's Kevin Durant. He didn't grow up watching Bird live, but Bird's name was always in the room. Coaches mentioned him. Analysts compared players to him. Veterans spoke about him like a benchmark, not a story from the past. The more Durant studied the game, the more it became obvious why Bird never fades from the conversation. Bird didn't just play the forward position, he expanded it. Before him, size meant limits. Forwards scored, rebounded, maybe defended. Creation belonged to guards. Bird flipped that script. He passed with precision, shot from deep, and ran offenses through decision-making instead of speed. He showed that skill at size could control everything. That shift changed the league forever. Players like Durant exist in that mold because Bird cracked the door open first. Long, versatile forwards who can handle, shoot, and create didn't become normal by accident. Bird forced the game to evolve, and if you drop him into today's NBA, that evolution only makes him more dangerous. Because Larry Bird made that style normal, then he made it necessary. The games of Kevin Durant and Bird are not identical, but the road was already paved. Long before 7-foot scorers were handling the ball and pulling up from deep, Bird proved size and skill could live together. Durant has even pointed to Bird's mentality, that calm confidence. No extra movement, no loud theatrics, just quiet control. Bird showed the league that real dominance does not need flash, it needs command. That mindset still echoes through today's stars. Then you have Dominique Wilkins, who shuts down the idea that Bird benefited from a softer era. He believes the exact opposite. Wilkins has said Bird played in one of the most physical periods the NBA has ever seen. Contact was constant. Space was earned the hard way. Defenders could put hands on you, bump you, test your toughness every possession. Compared to that, today's floor would feel wide open to him.
The whole team is just stretching, and Larry just walks on the court, like grabbed the ball and started jacking threes, I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, do y'all see this right now? And he made like at least 10 in a row threes, like just walked in, came in, looked at us, and was like, looking at us stretch and hit like 10 threes in a row. And walked off and sat like he ain't do nothing, like regular. And folded his leg and just sitting there looking at us. I'm like, yo, this guy's nice.
That's Larry Legend right there.
I'm like, man, that's the legend right there.
Larry Bird was like a Magic Johnson, or a Magic Johnson was like a Larry Bird. They try to add something new every year. They work harder than the rest of them. When practice is over, you could see Larry Bird out there every day, shooting for another 20 minutes, another half hour. If he didn't get enough running, he'd do some laps. He would just work hard. But above all, he was the most highly self-motivated athlete I ever was connected with. Larry Bird is.
Wilkins reminded people that Bird absorbed punishment nightly, hard fouls, body shots on every cut. Defenders leaning on him, trying to wear him down, and none of it stopped him. He still scored, he still passed, he still controlled games with precision and toughness. That matters when you project him into today's league. In an era where freedom of movement is emphasized and spacing is king, Bird would have even more room to operate. Closeouts would be longer. Physical intimidation would be limited. If he dominated when the game was rough, imagine him in a league built on skill and space. When Paul George was early in his career with the Indiana Pacers, Bird was not just a name hanging in the rafters. He was around the organization. Sometimes he would stand quietly at practice, watching. He did not need to speak. His presence alone carried authority. One afternoon, George was going through a simple shooting drill. Nothing special, just routine reps. A loose ball rolled toward Bird as he was heading out, dressed like he had somewhere else to be. Without stopping, without warming up, Bird picked it up and launched it. Clean release, straight through the net. No hesitation. That single shot shifted everything. It was not about highlights or history. It was about how natural it looked, the confidence, the muscle memory. Bird did not need a crowd or a uniform to remind anyone who he was. For George, the legend became real in that moment. Greatness did not disappear with time. It was still there, quiet, but ready. Lance Stephenson shared a similar story. During his time in Indiana, Bird would sometimes walk into the facility like he still owned the court. According to Stevenson, one practice left the team stunned. Bird stepped onto the floor, casually grabbed a ball, and started firing threes. Retired, older, far from game shape, and still, the shots kept dropping. No rush, no drama, just pure touch. That is the part people forget. Bird was not just a legend because of rings or awards. He was a standard, a presence, the type of player whose impact does not fade when the spotlight turns off. And if that kind of skill walked into today's NBA, it would not need an introduction. No warm-up, no stretching, just shots, one after another. Lance Stephenson said it was 10 straight makes. No rim, no celebration, no reaction. The gym went silent. Nobody joked. Nobody clapped. The message was clear without a single word. Bird did not walk in to entertain anyone. He did not explain himself. He simply showed what elite skill really looks like when it never leaves you. For Lance, that moment captured Larry Bird perfectly. The calm, the precision, the control. Years removed from retirement, and the touch was still there. It was not nostalgia. It was proof. Some greatness does not fade. It waits quietly, ready to remind everyone. Red Auerbach believed Bird's dominance came from something deeper than talent. He said Bird refused to stay the same. He was always adding something, always sharpening an edge. If defenses adjusted, Bird adjusted faster. If teams tried to take away his scoring, he became a playmaker. If they crowded his spots, he created new ones. And when his body slowed down, his mind sped up. Red saw it every day. Practice details, film study, small tweaks that turned into big advantages. Bird hated being predictable. He hated being solved. He was not chasing praise. He was chasing progress. That mindset is why he would thrive in any era. Today's NBA demands versatility and constant adjustment. Bird lived that standard before it became the trend. LeBron James has always studied the history of the game, not for show, but out of respect. And one name that kept coming up was Larry Bird. When LeBron tied Bird on the all-time triple-doubles list, his reaction was not casual. It was recognition. He understood what Bird represented.
Played till he couldn't play no more, obviously. We know that. He just played till he literally couldn't play the game no more. He gave everything he had. And for young guys that don't know him, you know, they think of Larry Bird as a jump shooter. But he was so much more than that. He was a passer. He averaged double-digit rebounds. He defended, he took charges. And, you know, it's just a straight-up complete basketball player. And me as a small forward.
He was he was a savant on the court. Like, just a savant. Like, 2 plays ahead on everything. And so I was just talking about this maybe 3 or 4 days ago, how hard it was to go into Boston and beat a team when Bird is in his prime.
Bird defined the complete player. He passed like a guard, rebounded like a big, scored from anywhere, directed teammates like a coach on the floor. He did not rely on pure speed or vertical explosion. He relied on vision, toughness, and decision-making. That is the DNA of today's superstars. LeBron has never framed Bird as just a shooter or just a Celtics icon. He sees him as a prototype, one of the earliest versions of the modern superstar. Decades later, Bird still represents the blueprint for winning basketball. Then there is Joe Dumars, who did not call Bird simply smart. He called him a savant, someone operating mentally 2 steps ahead at all times. Dumars explained that guarding Bird was not about reacting. By the time you reacted, it was already over. Bird knew where the help was coming from. He knew who would overcommit. He knew where the open teammate would be before the defense even shifted. He did not just see the play, he saw the sequence. Take away a shot, he hits the open man. Stay home on shooters, he scores. Hesitate for a second, the possession is finished. Dumars said Bird controlled games without forcing anything. No wasted movement, no panic, just one smart decision stacked on another until the defense finally cracked. That is not era-specific. That is timeless control. That is what made Larry Bird different. It was never about speed. It was never about explosive athleticism. It was processing power. He was not reacting to the game like everyone else. He was reading it in layers. While others saw the play in front of them, Bird saw what was coming next. He was operating one level higher, almost like he was already living in the future of basketball. And here is the truth. The modern NBA finally looks like the game Bird was already playing. Spacing, skill, versatility, decision-making. Those are not new skills he would need to develop. That was his base from day one. He could shoot from anywhere and punish switches without rushing. He could run an offense as a forward and dissect defenses in real time. He did not need endless isolation or elite speed to create an advantage. In a league obsessed with efficiency and mismatches, Bird would eat possession after possession. Defensively, he would still matter. He understood positioning. He understood angles. He understood timing. Bird was not reckless. He did not gamble for highlights. He disrupted rhythm. He forced offenses into uncomfortable spots. That kind of awareness does not expire. Intelligence on defense ages better than vertical leap ever will. But the biggest separator was mentality. Bird finished possessions. He adjusted constantly. He searched for weaknesses and kept pressing on them until teams cracked. If a defender hesitated, he attacked. If a scheme shifted, he countered. That mindset fits perfectly in today's game, where adjustments happen in seconds and pressure never fades. Larry Bird was not great because of the decade he played in. He was great because he understood basketball on a deeper level than most players ever reach. Drop him into today's NBA with modern spacing, freedom of movement, and heavy three-point volume, and his impact likely grows even bigger. This is not nostalgia talking. It is translation. Skill translates. IQ translates. Competitive fire always translates. Larry Bird would not be trying to catch up to today's stars. They would be the ones trying to figure out how to keep up with him.